Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. We are your hosts, Logan and Luke Lazarchik. Wednesday, March 6th. Luke, I know you had a pretty late night last night. You were covering KU, K-State, and Lawrence last night for K-State newspaper. Pretty tough game for K-State. It was kind of, when I was watching the game, because I watched like the first half and then maybe half of the second half because at that
Yes,
point the game kind
that's
of got
all
out
you
of hand.
needed.
It was kind of shocking how close the Wildcats kept that game, despite KU. I believe KU shot like 16 free throws first half, and they hit 15 of them or
It,
something like
it
that.
was it was something like that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, that was the whole thing at halftime. I think overall people's thoughts were it's 41-33 and K-State's kind of sucked. And then like the second half starts and KU hits like 2 or 3 threes. Nick Timberlake hit 4 threes. I mean, that was K-State's probably their last shot at the tournament unless they do something insane. But yeah, that's a tough one. Jerome Tang was very displeased with his team's effort afterwards. Very
Yeah, and
displeased.
I saw there's some like handshake line controversy. I didn't really pay
Yeah,
too much attention to
dude.
it, but I
So
saw it
it's
Twitter
like,
today.
so Bill Self said it's like, he said that Jerome Tang kind of did a flyby, and there's no video if he actually shook his hand or not, but they just went. Phew. But then if you look when K State beat KU
It was the same
in
type of thing.
February, Bill Self, yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb. It's one of those other K State KU Twitter arguments that you're just like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, well, we will. So today's episode, it's more of a news and rumor mill episode. There's been a lot that's actually happened today in the recent hour and a half or so. So we'll talk about some quarterback rumors, quarterback news, all that, and then we'll talk about the Bills and their cap space situation, which they addressed pretty heavily today. But we'll focus on quarterbacks first. The first quarterback rumor that we'll talk about is Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio, reported that it seems that Kirk Cousins is leaning towards heading to the Falcons and that he has a credible source that kind of led him into this direction of reporting that.
No, yeah, I think he also did he go on McAfee today or yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Okay.
It was either yesterday or the day before he went on McAfee.
Okay, I think it was yesterday. And he kind of doubled down on it. He said something about like Kirk Cousins checking in on the number 8 jersey, which Kyle Pitts wears. And I feel like the Falcons has been like, if it's not Vikings, I think the Falcons have been favored. And you know what? I think it makes sense. It makes sense. And I think, trust me, those Falcons, man, I wish they had Kirk Cousins. I think I remember saying mid-season before he got hurt and before the Vikings won, I was like, the Falcons should go get Kirk Cousins. I believe I said that.
You may have. I don't remember on top of my head, but you may have.
I've been on Kirk Cousins hype train, but I mean, rumors, if they're true or not, we don't know, but they sound pretty solid. And it's like, I think it fits. I think they could be really good with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I think they're they are for sure. If they do land Kirk Cousins, I think they're for sure locked that they win that division. Mm-hmm. I think if you look at the other quarterbacks in that division, and Falcons' roster is always the one missing piece has always been quarterback, and I think Kirk Cousins would fill that void. My main question with Kirk Cousins is health and how much is he going to be paid? Because he's 36 years old, coming off of Achilles injury. I know you're probably more on the Kirk. Like if we had a conversation about Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields to the Falcons, you'd probably be more heavily leaning on Kirk Cousins.
Logan, don't.
I'm not saying that they should go after Justin Fields, but I'm saying Kirk Cousins is clearly the better quarterback right now. But 36 years old, kind of Achilles. That's my main questions with this situation. I would still go Kirk Cousins, but Falcons, Arthur Blank, I think he's over the age of 80. He probably wants to win right now.
Yeah.
Does Kirk Cousins get them over that edge and get them into conversation of contending for the NFC title?
I mean, he could. If you go get Kirk Cousins, I think they then are like ultra aggressive. So I wouldn't be surprised. Let's say they get Kirk, and then let's say they get the second round pick from Jaguars. So maybe they first draft like Jared Verse at 8, and then maybe they use the second round picks to trade up higher into the first for like a what's weird because the receivers are really the top 3, and I think everyone has like their kind of own order. But maybe they go for like a Donnie Mitchell or something, or maybe they trade those picks to try to get a receiver who's on the market. So I think it'd have to be Kirk and then other moves, and then I also think. Like when the Chiefs got Alex Smith, I think we were Chiefs fans. We weren't winning the Super Bowl, and we kind of knew that. Maybe a part of us were like hoping, but we knew. But having Kirk Cousins, I think, also establishes a culture of winning and like professionalism. That maybe if you draft a QB in 2 years and he's still on the team, but he has one more year, that quarterback gets to enter that culture as a young lad. And then he gets to move on from that, and so it's not like there's like this, oh, we have to start all over. It's more of it's a bridge. So I think it's both. It could be a bridge, but like a very good bridge, and they can still compete if they make other moves.
Yeah, and we'll get into this player, our next topic, but do you think there's a chance that they would sign Kirk Cousins and then draft J.J. McCarthy to sit behind Cousins for a year or two? Or do you think – I think Falcons, what they should do is if you get Kirk Cousins – you try to build the best roster around him, and just I don't think I would consider taking a quarterback, at least in this year's draft. Maybe next year I would consider taking a quarterback, but I think if you're gonna get Kirk Cousins, I think you stick to a plan where you try to build the best roster to win this year.
No, yeah, if you draft Kirk Cousins, you can draft a quarterback to be behind him, but not this year. I don't think this would be the year for do it. I think if you go get, I agree. You go get Kirk Cousins, you got to go win.
Now, before we move on to the next topic, how much do you think Kirk Cousins? How many years and how much money per year do you think his next contract is going to be? Like, if Falcons sign him, what do you think it would be in the ballpark of? Because he's 36. I mean,
I'd say 3 years is my years.
I would say 3 years, but I'm saying a third year you can get out of. So the first 2 years are like it's a pretty steady contract, and the third year is you can basically void all the guaranteed money and save a bunch of cap space.
God, how much money would it be?
Like, are you getting $40 million a year?
Yeah, especially with this increase in cap. I think I think it's going to take that much to get him.
I know, because I saw a stat the other day, like Kirk Cousins against over 500 team or playoff teams in his career is 14-41.
I mean, I think we know that. But
like that's the thing. Like Falcons, I think this is more of. This is why I think this move could be more of. Like what you just alluded to earlier with Alex Smith move of he's better than Alex Smith before, but I think it's like a transition for the franchise. So maybe you get to the playoffs next 2 years, maybe you win the division next 2 years, and then I think they go pretty aggressive and try to get a quarterback.
I mean, I may be wrong, but wasn't his last game that he fully played? They beat the Niners this season.
I believe so.
Yeah. Win against the Super Bowl runner-ups. I still think, I know you don't agree, but dude, I think the Vikings could have messed around.
And done what?
I think
if he was healthy?
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. Look at the Niners.
That defense is not good enough. That was one game. I'm not going to base off.
Okay.
There's upsets every week in the NFL.
But no, I get that. But all they would have to do is make the playoffs. And then let's just say they get in where the Packers got in. And then they just go beat the Packers. Or they beat the Niners.
That's the argument against Kirk Cousins. He's not good in big games. Who says he would have beaten Dallas?
Well, I think Kirk Cousins is at his best right now. Obviously, we'll see how the Achilles. Kirk Cousins could have beat Dallas. He could have beat Dallas. But let's say the Niners get beaten. I mean, they probably should have lost to the Packers. If it's a title game against like the Lions, he can go win that.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's that.
I'm not saying they would have. I think he never got hurt. They would have had a chance. I still think that. The NFC was not as great. I mean, you had the Niners, and then you had a young Lions team, a young Packers team. Cowboys team was never going to do anything. The Eagles were never going to do anything. I think it would have been a year they could have pulled it off. I think they could have in this. And their defense wasn't the worst.
It wasn't great.
Yeah, but it wasn't the worst. And Brian Flores could just pull out like a really good game.
But yeah, I think Atlanta. I'd be really confident that they win that division. Even if like
Yeah.
Tampa Bay brings back Baker Mayfield and all that, that's still an old roster, and Atlanta is a really young roster. They just needed a quarterback to, I think, get the full potential of those weapons. And now you have a coach in there that should use all those players. Arthur Smith didn't use any of those players really, especially Kyle Pitts. Bijan Robinson is underutilized.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a Falcons fan, I'd be pretty confident that you win that division.
No, yeah. I know this is off topic, but when it comes to Tampa, I just don't see them getting a lot better.
No, I could definitely see. I could see it be like a Geno Smith type year for Baker Mayfield, where he takes a step back, not to the level that Geno Smith took, but they lost their OC to the Carolina head coaching job.
I think that's the thing. The OC.
Yeah, like Tampa Bay. I mean, for me, and I'm not going to try to sound like a hater, but I think Baker Mayfield plays much better when there's not expectations. But this new contract he's going to get is going to set expectations for him. And I don't think he plays well when there's expectations placed on him. Like throughout his career, we've kind of seen that.
I mean, he was good against. I don't know. I overall like where Baker is, but I just don't see Tampa getting better. As you said, they're old. They're probably going to use a lot of their cap space on him and Mike Evans if he stays. So, yeah.
Yeah. Next topic, we'll shift over to some NFL Combine stuff. J.J. McCarthy. It seems like every year there's at least one quarterback that gets hype around Combine season, around the NFL draft season. And that hype fluctuates so much. I mean, last year, for example, during the Combine and early in the draft process, people weren't too high on Will Levis. And by the time draft was rolling around, he was touted as potentially being the second overall pick. And then he didn't go second overall.
Second round.
And they went second round. I think he went 34th. Tennessee traded up for him, got him 34th.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, I think a lot when one player gets exponentially hyped by everybody, I think it screams smokescreen. And I think this is the case with J.J. McCarthy.
It could be. I mean, Will Levis, it's funny because Titans used a first round pick, and if a team is going to be all in on you, like all in, you usually want them to use their first pick on you. But why did I just distract myself? Oh yeah, I distracted myself thinking about Logan. I could have just gotten to like a whole Will Levis conversation, but we're not gonna do that. But JJ McCarthy, I think it's interesting because you saw like that one report about Penix, and it's like
that he may go first round.
I know I had McCarthy 8th, and it always is weird with Combine hype. And he had like some good moments, I think, and some moments in the Combine. So it's not like he had like the Josh Allen performance. I could see McCarthy still being the 6th quarterback taken. I mean, I don't know it. I know that cannot. Logan, okay, here's something I got to warn you, man. When McCarthy gets drafted, do not hold a grudge against him for 2 years because you.
I'm not going to do that. But I'm saying, like, when I saw the report that he may go in front of Jane Daniels, I'm like, am I a complete moron and I'm just missing something? Like, I don't understand.
I mean, yes, but maybe not in this.
When I've watched J.J. McCarthy, I'm like, this guy is a game manager. And that's why he wasn't called. Like, I don't understand. Other than, like, just pure, like, height and, like, body build and what he could be, I don't really see any proof of that he can be a good quarterback in the NFL.
Well, I think it comes down to teams thinking they can use these tools and they think they'll coach him the best. I mean, all these coaches think they can coach him the best. So in their minds, they're like, oh, well, when we get him in here, even though he did have Harbaugh, which is, I mean, he's a pretty good coach. It's weird because he won a top natty. He won a natty. And his team was probably the best, but it wasn't like leaps and bounds the best.
Oh, I think so. Like, you can say that the receivers weren't, like, fantastic, but they had one of the best offensive lines, one of the best defenses, if not the best defenses. 2 running backs are in this draft.
No, it's the best team.
They have 18 total players in this draft. Like, that's an NFL type roster. It's like the Georgia teams.
Okay, if you flipped Jalen Milroe and J.J. McCarthy in that semifinals game, who do you think wins?
I'd probably say I'd probably
I
still say
take
Michigan. But I'm not
Alabama. I take Bama in that.
you think McCarthy's that much better than Milroe? Like I thought we've
think
always had
he's
arguments about.
okay. I
You seem
like
like more of a
Milroe's
Milroe guy than me.
potential. I like his potential, but I think McCarthy was more like big game. I think McCarthy was more he was going to get the job done, and like because he was going to manage it. I don't know. He had the best team, but he didn't have. It wasn't. It's not like Georgia with Stenson Bennett best team.
I mean, they went. Here's the thing: they went undefeated with Jim Harbaugh being suspended with
Yeah,
3 games. I
but at
mean,
that point, most of the stuff is the same. I mean, you have if it's
I
just
mean,
three
we talked
games.
about our last episode. His stat lines were not impressive at
No,
all.
I understand
Like
that.
I don't understand.
It's obviously it's not always stat lines though. I think we know that in sports, it's not
Well, of
always stat
course.
lines because then Jaden Daniels would be the first pick, and it wouldn't be a question if it was just
So
stat lines. But
let's rank the quarterbacks in this draft then.
wait,
What?
I had a
What?
point. Wait, I had a
Okay,
point.
okay. Make your point. Make your point. Make your point.
What was my point? Oh, not a point. Do you know what I think would have been good for him, assuming he still won the title? If he played Georgia.
I don't think they won that game though. Well, actually, Georgia was pretty weak at that
Well, I
time.
said
Like
assuming they weren't pretty weak. I mean, they just
I'm
lost
not
to
weak, but they were
Alabama.
definitely not as good as they've been.
No,
in the
but I
past.
think that Georgia defense. I'm assuming Michigan wins, so don't say would they have even won. But if Michigan would have won the title and they had to face Georgia and win those games, I think maybe we'd be a little more on the McCarthy side. Maybe.
I don't know. Let's rank these 6 quarterbacks in this draft class just right now.
Okay.
You go first. You go first. I'll let you go first.
Well, I'll go. I think it's pretty obviously Caleb. And I think I like Jane Daniels, but I think it's like I think Caleb is further away from May than May is further away from Daniels, but I think it's close. I think it's a close gap. So I'll go May 2, Daniels 3. And the more I thought about it, the more I just put Penix 4th, and like I may think he's even on a different tier than Nick's.
I mean, Penix's arm it's live. Like it's
okay. Do you remember in was it 2021 how I loved Jalen Suggs? He was actually pretty dang good right now for the Magic. He's like pretty good. But I remember. I know this is NBA, but I think it correlates. It correlates unless like you're a genius. So take away like someone's a super duper genius. I remember thinking like he has no trait that would just is like unstoppable. Why do I think he's going to be better than Cade Cunningham? Cade Cunningham's not a world beater, but Cade Cunningham, I think, is everyone knows Cade Cunningham's currently better. And so with Bo Nix, he has no world beater in him. And Penix at least has like this, I will throw this ball in such a small window. No one's going to be able to grab it. It's going to be perfect. And so I think McCarthy and Nix are in the same tier.
okay.
Dude, JJ, I know I'm not big on age. Remember Burrow. JJ is, I think he's young. I think he's like, is he even older than?
He's 21.
I think he's younger than I am, which is also kind of weird to start thinking about now. I know you've had that for a couple of years, but it's weird. I'm gonna look that up.
He's 20. He's 21. Like I think
They are very flip floppy. I would
probably say because he's so young.
Logan, he wasn't even born in 2020. He's a 2020. He's a 2003 baby. He is a full 3 years in one day. Wow. He's you are a lot older than him.
I mean, yeah, I'm a lot older than a lot of NBA players that come out of the draft. Like they're 18 years old.
I don't like this man. We're getting too old. But
like for JJ McCarthy, I think because he's so young, people think he develop into something. But I don't know. Like
I'm gonna go Knicks over McCarthy, but like because like
so you have McCarthy at 6, but you had him go top 10. That's my point. It's so
but we're not NFL evaluators, man.
No, of course. But you had him going 8th overall, I think, to Atlanta, and that's before the Kirk Cousins news. But like, and now a lot of people think he's a lock for top 10. Like, there's people out there that think he's a for sure top 10 pick.
I would bet he's not top 10. I
I can see him. You know what? I can see all this hype happen, and then he slips into like the 20s. I
If
really
he's not drafted in the first round, I'm like done when it's hype
yeah.
like this and doesn't make
Well,
sense
I
fully.
was
I'm
already
done.
down. Like Will Levis. Yeah, I've already. The
But
Will
I'm
Levis
just done
thing
on
should have
like
been your.
predicting it. Yeah.
Like Will Levis is
Will
a great
Levis wasn't
example.
a bad pick though. Wasn't a
Also,
bad
so
pick.
here am I. Here, so you have McCarthy 6th and
Yeah. But he's in the
okay.
same
So I
tier
have
as Knicks.
I have Caleb 1, Daniels 2, May 3, Penix 4. And I'll probably say the same as you. Bo Nix at 5, and JJ McCarthy at 6. Like the thing with Bo Nix, he's 24. I think he's 24. Like
No, Bo
that's just
Nix is
crazy.
old. And he didn't
Yeah.
like he needed to beat Washington.
Which you know what's crazy? I'm not even trying to have a discussion about this player because there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
We disagree vastly on it. But Trey Lance, I believe, is younger than Penix and Nix, which is just kind of crazy to think about.
I remember when we were talking about I think when it was Burrow and it was like talking about backs who were younger than Burrow.
I think
And
Sam
like,
Darnold was in that conversation
yeah,
too.
and then look,
Like being younger. So yeah.
happens.
But yeah, I think this JJ McCarthy stuff, I just can't wrap my head around it. I don't really get it. But we'll talk about another player, another quarterback. This will be the last quarterback we talk about today. Justin Fields. His trade market has seemed to take a hit. I know that the Bears are seeking a first or second round pick. At this point, I think they're just going to get like a third, maybe a third and a fourth. But I don't think
it's
a second
like
round
a
pick,
third and a fifth or something. Probably not third.
unless there's a quarterback or a team out there that's desperate for a quarterback by the time draft season comes along, and they don't really have an avenue of, like, let's say Pittsburgh still doesn't have their quarterback, and I don't know, Pittsburgh may stay with Kenny Pickett, which I don't really understand.
That's what my gut tells me they do.
That's what my gut tells me to do, which is okay. Have fun, mediocrity, Pittsburgh. But
it's so dumb. And
what are your thoughts on Justin Fields' trade market right now? Do you think it's valid?
I mean,
do you think it's right that nobody's trading for him, or what's your thoughts?
I mean, it's hard to trade for him when you want Kirk is better out there.
Because I think, and sorry to interrupt you, but I think Justin Fields right now is just a pure lottery ticket. Like you don't know it's just like a scratcher. It could be a lot of money or it could be nothing.
So you can go Kirk Cousins, who you know is really good, Baker, who like you're confident is going to be at least solid.
I'd rather take my chances on Fields than Baker though if I had a choice of that. Like price tag, what I have to give up. Like I think I would definitely.
I don't know. You're not giving up the pick, and
if you said a third and fifth, I would do that.
You know what'd be interesting? I just thought this was interesting. This is a whole different thought. I'm kind of segueing, but you know how there's like the draft trade charts where it's like the 10th pick is worth like the 18th and the 60th or something?
Yeah.
What if there was a chart that valued each? Maybe there is. Like the first pick is worth $35 million in salary cap. The 7th pick is worth 27. That'd be interesting.
There probably is something like that though.
Because that'd be the Baker Justin Fields thing if you're 50-50 on him. But there's those two who are ahead of him. Maybe even like a Ryan Tannehill, because it depends on what the team wants.
Or Tannehill.
Okay, Logan, but who do you think is if you're like the Falcons and you want to win this year?
The thing about
Ryan Tannehill.
You can make that argument of who's better right now, but then why do we have the draft? If you're making this trade off, or you're making a trade off of potential. I'm not going to take.
Want to win? Some teams want to win this season, and so
who says you win with Tannehill?
They want a better chance of winning with Tannehill. But so there's stuff like that. There's probably someone I'm even forgetting, and then you have these quarterbacks where after the top three, you don't know what's happening with those three. So maybe a team likes Penix, but they're at 18. I don't even know who's at 18. But they're like, we kind of like Fields too, but we'd rather have Penix, but we don't know if we can get Penix, and we don't want to trade up to the 7th pick for Penix. So I think that slows it down. But yeah, I don't think he should have this insane market. I think the Bears may have overplayed their hand when they were like, oh yeah, we may just keep Justin.
I think that was just straight the trade value.
Yeah, but I think that's done when everyone knows you're lying.
Well, of course, yeah. I'm not agreeing with that.
With the JJ McCarthy stuff, we think they're kind of lying, but we're not 100% sure. We knew the Bears weren't keeping Fields, so there's that.
Yeah.
So I think there's this weird tier of quarterback. Oh, actually, well, I mean, before I do that, what's your thoughts on declining market or what I broke down from a fundamental standpoint?
I kind of get it because I think when you don't trade him right away, teams are gonna be like, because the thought now, especially from the combine is basically a networking space. So all these teams and front office people are talking to each other. Everybody knows that the Bears are taking Caleb Williams, so you know the Bears want to get rid of Justin Fields. So why trade for him sooner and give up more when you can wait for them to get desperate and become impatient and they lower that price tag? I think that's exactly what's happening. I don't think people are.
I mean, he's not the top option.
No, I also don't think he's like their belief is falling in him. I think it's just that they're playing the game of worse and wait till his price tag drops even lower, and it's more of a bargain. Like you're still taking a risk if you're trading from Justin Fields, but if you instead of giving a second, you give a third, teams are going to be more likely to make a trade.
Like you can make an argument, like the Falcons. You can make an argument they have Kirk, Baker ahead of him, and who they'd rather have, and then they can have Caleb, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and they can have maybe all three.
Where would you rank? Let's say Fields is coming out of the draft, and we know what we know about him. Where would you rank him in this draft class? Or not even how I phrased it, but where would you rank him in this draft class?
Well, he'd be 7th because I wouldn't use a first-round pick on him. So maybe I'd use a first-round pick on McCarthy. I don't know. Probably not, but I would barely trade a second for Fields, so he'd be 7th.
Okay.
Maybe not even 7th. He'd be 7th.
But like, we are just on opposite sides of the spectrum.
Where would you rank him? Where would you rank him?
He's definitely not top 3. See, Penix injuries, that's something you have to take into account.
But Penix, would you consider drafting Penix with a first-round pick?
Yeah.
Would you trade a first-round pick for Justin Fields?
No.
Exactly. So yeah,
I don't think necessarily all these quarterbacks go for, like, I think Nix and McCarthy could each, especially Nix.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Penix. Like, so then he doesn't go in the.
I think I would take like Fields over Nix. Yeah, and possibly McCarthy. Like I'm not huge on McCarthy at all, so I probably have him like 5, and maybe 4. I'm like Penix and Fields.
Oh my god!
I would probably
you take Penix higher than you would trade for Fields, so I don't get that.
Well, okay, but you could still say that teams is because of how he's not been great in the NFL. That's why. But I'm saying,
so if you had to get in a trading battle where you're where the Bears.
Well, no, I'm not giving up a first, and I'm trying not to give up a second.
But okay,
like I actually, you know what? I would give up a second. If it's just, I would not like a second round pick for Fields. He still has 2 years left on his rookie contract, and he was 11th pick or 5th year. Okay, so he has 1 year left in the 5th year. Huh?
Or no, was he 11th pick?
He was 11th.
Mm-hmm. I think with all these quarterbacks, because 6 teams at least are going to draft a quarterback who they plan to be their future starter, and there's probably like 10 teams who are going to want a quarterback, or 9 or 8. But so as their starter / future starter, I was thinking with Fields, and then I know the fit has been, but like, what if he just went to the Rams a year behind?
See, I was going to actually say that.
I think the Rams are going to add some young guy. It could be
what I would love?
Lance, or it could be a rookie.
You know what I would love, and I know it's not realistic, but for our argument's sake, if for some reason the Giants brought in Fields just to be just to come in this year and sit, and
why would they? That's so dumb. I don't think
it's not.
Yeah, but
it feels Daniel Jones' argument between us would be.
But if you're gonna trade for Fields, if you're the Giants, you just have him start right away.
I don't think that, because let's say Giants trade up to 3 and take Drake May.
No,
Drake May starting right away.
I'm talking about Fields. Drake May you can bench or Daniel.
Because here's why I disagree with you on that. Because
you can't trade for a third-year quarterback who would be theoretically competing.
Okay, I just said this is I said it's highly unlikely. I just said for our arguments.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be
You
good.
know what? For my arguments, let's see. What do I want? I wish I could reverse time, and Desmond Ritter's really good. And
My point, another point of why Daniel Jones is a backup on
he's
$40
not
million
that.
quarterback is your backup. No, but I'm saying if in this stupid hypothetical we're discussing,
But then you
you
just
have a
have to
back
step
that's
it up
40
because
mil.
Daniel Jones. It's different if you have a young guy who hasn't played yet. But if you have a third-year guy who you clearly want to be your future quarterback, and he's been in the league for 3 years, so it's not
No,
like, oh,
it's
yes.
just stupid hypothetical. Like I said,
But yeah, but it's not
I
like
wasn't
you
trying
have
to get a
to
debate.
knock off the rookie rush. You just throw him right in and try to mesh with your receivers. I mean, that's dumb.
I was just trying to make a joke, and we got into full on debate about it. I was just trying to do the
You
Justin
know
Fields
how
versus
I
Daniel
get.
Jones stuff.
You know how I get when you talk about my boy Danny Dimes.
Yeah, you get really defensive, like you
Yes,
just
I
did
just
now.
want to say about Danny Dimes. There's a chance he's not the solution, but he is not the problem in New York. It's not on him.
For his money, he is, and I've always thought he's a problem.
Okay, you could say he's overpaid, but I think even if they saved 10 mil, what is that 10 mil going to get them? That would have made them so much better. He's still going to get massacred.
I just think that my opinion is they should have given him the money. That was my opinion.
Okay, yeah, but there's nothing. Even if they gave him 30 million a year, I'm just saying that I agree. You can have that opinion. I think that's still open, but there's nothing Daniel Jones can be able to do this year. Like they were just going to suck. The team's not good.
Well,
Oh,
injuries happen, but yeah,
yes,
nice.
and he got hurt.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we move on to our last topic? And more news just came on from this last topic.
Oh, really? Let me look before you.
Well,
Let me see.
actually, about 20 minutes ago.
Huh. Okay, you can roll in it.
Yeah.
I think.
All right. So the Bills. It was a pretty quiet afternoon in the NFL today, and then the Bills cut 5 players, and they saved, I believe, 25 million in those releases, and they cut Tre'Davious White, which that 10 million won't roll in until after June 1st because it's a post June 1st designation. But they just renegotiated Von Miller's contract, so now his base value is going to be 8.85 million in 2024, with a chance to make up to 20 million incentives. So I believe his base salary in 2024 before this move was it 23 million? Or was it 10? Hold on. His cap number was at almost 24 million.
It was 17 million was base salary.
Base salary 17 million. Okay.
And 10.71 was guaranteed.
Okay, that's right. So 10.7. Yeah. So they save even more money there. So the cuts that they made today, they cut Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, Mitch Morse. I believe, what was the other secondary player that they cut?
Micah Hyde.
No, wasn't. Did they cut Micah Hyde?
Was it Hyde? I may be wrong. Hold up.
I don't think they did. No, it was a lower tier player.
I just saw a list.
I just had it on my phone and my phone closed.
Where did it go? Was it Micah Hyde?
Hold on. It was Saron Neal and Deontay Hardy. That was 5 players that cut.
Oh, so Michael Hyde is just a free agent.
Yeah, Mike Hyde. Yeah. So I know we had this debate earlier in the offseason. I said the Bills went all in these last 2 years, and now because of that, their team's going to look much different. And you were saying that they'll figure it out with the cap space. But figuring out is you still have to cut key players. And now we did a mock draft episode last week, and I think we both had Buffalo taking receiver. After these moves, I think they go corner first round.
It's probably corner now, but here's the thing. Was Jordan Poyer that great this year? He wasn't spectacular. Was Micah Hyde? No. White didn't even play. Von Miller did nothing. Who else they cut? Mitch Morse. And it seems like they have a plan for
these moves have probably been in the works.
I think their guard is moving to center, and they have a backup guard who they signed an extension. They traded Bates, that was his name, to Chicago, save some more money. So I honestly don't think there's going to be a huge drop-off from all these people. Like, I just don't think there's a drop-off. And now
my thing is, they're shedding all this cap space right now, and this is just to get under the cap.
But they'll probably do
no, they'll do that. That's my point. They'll do that, but they're not going to be able to really. I don't think they're going to be able to sign any of these marquee or free agents or these.
I don't
free
think
agents
they need
a huge difference.
Didn't they just nearly beat the Chiefs? I think.
Yeah,
and I think the roster would again nearly beat the Chiefs. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. And what if they hit something? What if they hit gold? I think they need to hit
with Josh
gold
Allen.
once.
I think they're going to now build a very young and cheap team around Josh Allen. Like this year, next year, they're gonna be rotating into that. Because I don't know what they do with Stephon Diggs. That's always been a.
I think you just play the contract out. I think that one they're playing out.
Well, I believe they can move off of his contract after next season.
Well, I saw
2020. Well, actually,
I think I saw PFT said something where the Bills think, or the over. No, I was reading Matthew Berry's article. He had like his. I think he does it every year now, like his 25
top 25 takeaways. I think I read the same thing.
And he said like the thought is that like Allen and Diggs barely missed on many plays, like just barely, and like if they didn't miss on all of them, it would have been different statistically, and maybe that's true. So I still think they're going to be fine. Like Gabe Davis leaving. I don't think that.
I don't think it's much of it. Yeah, no.
I think all these players don't change much, and
I think they win their division still because of who they have at quarterback. Like I'm not worried about the division, but I'm just saying like postseason wise, I still think it's gonna be the same story.
I mean, I think their key is they gotta hit. They gotta. It doesn't even need to be.
Yeah, but that's not a guarantee. Like you're actually guaranteed to hit on your draft picks. They could hypothetically miss all their draft picks.
I know, but I feel like I think teams hit gold a lot. And I think the Bills are close enough if they hit gold. The Chiefs hit gold so many times. I mean, the odds are that this Chiefs draft is not going to be great. Just like, even though after the draft, I'm going to be like, oh, these guys are going to be awesome. But just like with how good this last one was and the past two, the odds are like if they do, like they're just not going to keep doing this.
Yeah, you can say the odds are, but based on recent track record, you can say that they're going to define those odds because of how good they've been at drafting.
I know, but I think the Bills are going to. The Bills are going to hit something, right? They're either going to sign someone for cheap that is much better than we think, or they're going to draft a great player. They're due to hit on something.
I think what ends up happening is I think they actually go pretty defensive heavy in this draft. I think their mindset is Josh Allen is this elite quarterback. Let him carry the offense. And I think at this point, I think you have to address the defense. Your secondary is depleted because of these moves. Von Miller didn't do any close to nothing last year. You probably need another pass rusher.
I'm surprised they didn't just cut him. Maybe they
because
think
the money.
I don't think
it. It was virtually impossible. I think to cut him. If you.
I mean,
you would take on
a chance that Von Miller plays pretty well.
Yeah, even a post June 1, you'd only save $6 million and take on $17 million dead cap. Pre-June 1. You would have a $32.5 million cap hit or a dead money cap and only save.
Okay.
You wouldn't save anything.
Okay, so it makes sense what they did. I think I learned this year with the Chiefs that like when you have one of the best quarterbacks, you're always in it. Always, always, always. And so that's why I feel like Allen's been right with Mahomes every time. He's been right there, and he's just always just like missed that one play. If he just hits that one play,
a big.
No, yeah.
I don't think they have the right coach.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. You remember they had those grade cards, the NFLPA grade cards. I think Andy Reid was A+, and I think Stefanski, Kevin O'Connell, and McDermott were all rated A by their players. So I mean, I do think they need to change like how they play defense. They need to be more aggressive. Maybe that's something they fix. But they just need to hit. They need to hit something big. I think that is true. They need to hit something big. But if they do, because all they need to do on offense is just get a wide receiver 2. Because
I don't think Shakir's a 2. I think Shakir's a good 3.
Shakir's a 3. You have tight end. The O-line's fine. You got a running back.
This is why I think they go corner first round because this draft there's a lot of receiver depth in this draft. So I think they would probably go corner first round, receiver second. Or I could possibly see them trading out of the first round get you more picks, and then because they need a pass rusher, I think. I think they need a pass rusher.
Yeah,
Von Miller is not good anymore. He's not good.
You have interior guys, but yeah, you want it.
You need another pass rusher.
I mean, you have good edge rushers. You have Russo. You have.
But you also have to think about future, like you want to get people in place so that when your players do have free agents, those players can then
enter
those roles. Like I think
right.
I would not be surprised if they trade out of the first round and they just accumulate more draft picks and they have like 2 second-round picks and 2 thirds, and then they address all the needs that they
honestly
have on their roster.
They had a lot of young corners who played all right.
Pierre Elam is a miss. They drafted him first round 2 years ago.
No, but he's not who I'm talking about. Let me pull it up. There's a little depth chart. I mean, but he played solid at the end. I mean, maybe he can figure something out. I mean, it's tough when the guy that they clearly wanted was Trent McDuffie, and he's so good.
That's what's so great about the Chiefs. They're so smart. I mean, they jumped the Bills and took McDuffie.
I mean, gosh dang it, why is this ad? Christian Benford was pretty solid. They trade for Douglas, who was good. Teron Johnson's solid. So honestly, like there's a little argument you can make that maybe because they do have some Shaq Lawson. I don't think he did much, but
okay, maybe they don't go corner necessarily first round.
Maybe it's
I think they go defense first round, and I think it could be edge rusher. I think it's corner or edge rusher they take first round.
I think it's edge rusher. Now, the more I think about it, I should have looked at this more during the. Well, obviously these moves didn't happen before our mock draft, but yeah, their offense. Their only starting free agent is Gabe Davis. The other free agents are Ty Johnson, Trent Sherfield, Kyle Allen, Latavius Murray, Damian Harris, all replaceable.
All those guys are gone. Yeah,
but
they're all replaceable, all gone.
Daquan Jones is a free agent, and so is Philip Jordan. So that hurts the interior, but you still have Ed Oliver.
That's my thing about the Bills, though, is like,
but you still have a lot of these people.
I don't think these problems are easily fixable as you are saying. I think it's very optimistic. I think you're being very optimistic about the Bills in their situation right now.
If they need two stars, like 2 true stars. You don't need to be like Chris Jones level star, but true starish players, and they can. I think that's all you need. I know that's a lot saying like,
you can say about every team in the league.
I know, but I think they're so close.
Like the 2 AFC teams this year that just absolutely missed their chance. It was a golden opportunity. Number 1 is Ravens, and number 2 is Bills. There's no Bengals in the playoffs.
I don't.
Chargers don't have Jim Harbaugh yet. The Chiefs.
Okay, but then something
receiver core was terrible.
I think I explained this. I think Jim Harbaugh is probably not going to win Super Bowl's first year. The Chargers, I think, are way more.
No.
Okay, I think right now this about the Bills. The Chargers are way more of an overall mess. I know they have Harbaugh now, but they have way more to restructure because at least Josh Allen, Logan. Josh Allen's had some insane playoff games. Herbert has not. Lamar has not. I think there's 3 teams in the AFC who've had quarterbacks who played really well in the playoffs. Chiefs, Bills, Bengals.
Yep.
And I honestly, I know Burrow's won, but I don't recall him having a killer playoff game. I may be wrong.
I mean, when they played the Bills.
Oh, yeah, they massacred the Bills. The Bills were such a mess. I think that year they were just such a mess. But I still think the Bills have a shot at any time. I saw Colin Cowherd compare them to the Celtics. And I think that's a pretty solid comparison, except Josh Allen is way better than any of the equivalents of the Celtics, like Jason Tatum. It's like, nah, Josh Allen. And there's only 2 quarterbacks right now who can compete with Mahomes and like play better. And that's Allen and Burrow, but I think Burrow is more like the teams are close and he has like a good fourth quarter. Allen could go first quarter, second, third quarter, fourth quarter. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not doubting the talent of the Bills. I think team construction wise, they went all in these last 2 years and they didn't succeed. And now because of that, you're gonna have less flexibility. Von Miller, you can't move Von Miller's contract. That's my point.
Yes, I understand that, but all you gotta do again, he was not impactful at all. What if he's impactful? I'm not
Luke,
saying.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Can I ask you a quick question? Let's say the Chiefs did what the Bills did the last 2 years, and they're in this type of cap situation. What would What would
I've
your
I've
level?
learned, Logan. I've learned, as I said earlier, I've learned about the Chiefs. I'm never doubting them again. I've learned.
You said, okay, I can't wait for next year wins week 7. The Chiefs are slightly
Okay, well then
not
play this
playing as
back
well,
for
and you
me,
did.
or slap me
I
and
played it
call
back
me
the
an
last 3
idiot, or
years for you. The last 3 years I've had to
well,
tell you,
now it's 3
calm
Super
down.
Bowls. I can't say
Okay.
anything anymore. I've learned. I've learned, dear brother.
Okay.
The Bills are
Just
always the
want,
biggest threat to me against the Chiefs. Them and Bengals,
well, yeah,
and
because Josh
then
Allen, his rushing ability
and
just
then we'll see if Stroud can join that list. Even though I don't think the odds of Stroud being the same tier of Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow. Well, first off, Mahomes is own tier, and
yeah,
that's
Mahomes
Allen
is
and
on
Burrow.
tier.
But
Like we
even being
said,
the
like I
same
said a
tier of
couple weeks
Allen
ago.
and Burrow, I think that's so much harder. Like I think the odds are below 50%. And I even think like the odds for Herbert being on that same tier are below 50%. No one is favorably going to be on that tier. Someone probably will get on there, but no one
I think
has
Stroud and
odds.
Herbert are probably the top 2 contestants for that tier. I mean, Stroud his rookie year won 10 games, won his
No,
division.
Stroud is probably the biggest contestant.
Yeah, and I think
And like
I'm a big Herbert guy. I think the thing he's been missing is coaching, and I would like to see him play with more fire and just more
yeah.
intensity. That's probably the 3 main knocks on Herbert is that he just doesn't play that intensity that other quarterbacks do.
Josh Allen, he's so good. I just can't see him not winning a Super Bowl at some point.
And there's been
The
a lot of
Chiefs are
talented players in it.
the Chiefs,
And
even though I
players
said I'm never going to doubt them, they're not going to win every year. They're not going to go to every Super Bowl. And maybe that'd
They've
be
gone
nice.
5-6 years of Mahomes.
I know, but at some point it has to slow
Should have
down.
been 6 out of
a little,
6.
right? At some point it has to slow down a little. Maybe.
I think the only thing that stops the Chiefs is probably injuries, health, and I guess if once Kelsey's gone.
Okay, there's going to be a year within the next 4 years where the Chiefs it's going to be playoffs and they're hurt or something. Like they're just going to miss the playoffs because like it happened. Patriots, Brady got hurt because the Chiefs haven't had injury luck. I hate.
You mean they've had injury luck?
Yes. And they're gonna have a year where everything falls apart even worse than this year, and they don't even win the division, and so that's gonna happen. And those are the years. Those are the years where the Bills got it because it's not like you said the Bills.
Well, this last year was a year.
Okay, but you say that, but the Bills they weren't playing fantastic this year. So you thought they were gonna miss the playoffs.
My point of a miss, Ravens probably fit that bill more of a miss.
Ravens missed an opportunity. I don't think the Bills missed a huge opportunity. The Ravens did. The Ravens, that's tough.
Yeah. Well, that will do it for our episode this week. I know Luke is covering Big 12 tournament. Wait, are you covering big? Is it men's tournament next week, correct?
Women's and men's. Women's.
Oh, at the same time.
K-State's first game is Saturday at 8 p.m. And then the men's first game, if they lose and Cincinnati wins, their first game is Tuesday, which would be the same game day as the women's championship, all in T-Mobile. But if they win or Cincinnati loses, I believe their first game is on Wednesday.
Okay, so
we'll
see when we record next week. It may be a different day next week, maybe Thursday or Friday.
I mean, with if K-State plays anything on their first game like they did last night, then we'll just record on Wednesday probably because it probably means they lose to. Yeah.
Well, next Wednesday would actually be a great. Next Wednesday would be a great day to record because free agency starts next Wednesday, and next Monday is when you could start negotiating with contracts. So
I thought it's 2 days. I thought it'd be next Friday. I may be wrong.
What for what?
Negotiating. Well, I think
the 11th. The 11th is negotiating. Free agency starts on the 13th.
Yeah, but you said. Oh, I got it mixed up in my head.
Yeah. Monday is when you can start negotiating with contracts.
Yes, Thursday is when you can sign them. Or Wednesday.
Wednesday is when you sign. Yeah. So next week will probably be a free agency episode. We may get breaking news while we are recording, or if we're due on Thursday, if we have to do Thursday, it'll be the day before. But then probably in a couple weeks we'll start doing some March Madness stuff. Once the brackets released and all that, we'll probably make our March Madness picks. So it's pretty jam packed in sports right now. March is pretty NFL season. NFL, there's always news, and then once March Madness gets kicking, sports are pretty, and then you always have the NBA playoffs.
Yes,
out around the corner. So we will be talking about more than just football here in a couple weeks. But until then, make sure to like the video, subscribe, also follow our Spotify page. But until then, we'll see you guys.
Peace.